أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Chapter 71. Okay, Marla, go ahead, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We sent Noah to his people that you shall warn your people before the advent of a painful suffering. He said, O my people, I am indeed a clear warner to you, that you shall worship God, fear him, and obey. He will forgive your sins and will respite you for a predetermined interim. Surely when God's predetermined interim ends, there is no delay, if you could only realize it. He said, Lord, I have invited my people night and day. However, my invitation only increased their aversion. And every time I invited them in order that you may forgive them, they placed their fingers in their ears and cloaked themselves under their garments and persistently remained arrogant. Then I indeed invited them publicly. Afterwards, I proclaimed to them and discussed with them in private, in absolute privacy. Then I told them, ask forgiveness from your Lord, for he is indeed all forgiving. He will send from the sky pouring rain upon you, and he will increase your wealth and number of your sons, and will create for you gardens and rivers. Why do you not wish to pay tribute to God's majesty? He is the one who created you different. Do you not see how God has created 7 vacua in layers, and placed therein the moon as a light, and made the sun a lamp? And God grows you out of the ground like plants. Then he returns you to it and brings you out again. And God has made the land for you as an oasis, that you may travel therein in wide roads. Noah said, Lord, they have disobeyed me, but they follow those who only increase their loss of money and children. And they have devised a great scheme. And they said, do not abandon your gods. Do not abandon Wad, Suwa, Yaguth, Yaug, and Nasser. They have indeed misled many. They did not augment anything for the transgressors except their straying. Because of their sins they were drowned, and they were admitted into hell, and they did not find any helpers besides God. And Noah said, Lord, do not leave a single unfaithful on the land. Surely if you leave them, they mislead your servants, and do not produce anything but evildoers and unfaithful. Lord, forgive me and my parents, and every faithful who enters my house, and all the faithful men and the faithful women, and do not increase anything for the transgressors except destruction.
Okay, mashallah, thank you. Very good. Okay, are there any questions, comments, observations, any discussions?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace, Dr. Fazely.
Alaikum assalam. Yes, go ahead, Faril. Yes, please.
I am looking at this whole surah. It sounds to me it's like a testimony from Noah to God, that he's done everything he could do. Like most messengers, they have hard times when they're not listened to, and even you said, I try to show you all things, and you're leaving like flies. Am I not showing you the glory of God? And
yes.
So I guess it's just a litmus test for all messengers, that they're always going through the same kind of pushback from the people.
Yep.
But God blessed him by giving him a surah or a chapter just for him, And he also made him carry the next list of progeny, and he promised him that. And I think it was 6 in the Bible. Abraham is the sixth family generation after Noah. So that he gave him, you could test by the people that he's given each of the messengers that he kept his promise to Noah. Yeah, so and I also saw 17, I think it's 17:3, where he says that Noah's carrying this progeny of people with him, you know.
Yes.
And then when Noah said, don't leave any of them, that the disbelievers, get rid of them, God was way ahead of him because I don't know what story it was, but I know he already got rid of the so-called son that wasn't a son, you know, and left him standing on the mountain. So God knows best, and God knows what we don't know, and I just thought it was just, you know, God giving Noah, you didn't do anything wrong. You did your job, and he honored him by this chapter. That's it.
Yes, indeed. I mean, yeah. The thing is that people for some reason do not take this seriously. They think this is some kind of joke or something. Okay, this is not a political game. This is not something that daily news should overtake this. This is your hereafter. And this is going to be the eternal existence of people, and people are just running away from it. And that's what God says in here. And they just did not. And see what happens here. They drowned, and they were admitted to hell. Okay? This is not a joke. God is serious about this, and these warnings are not just for the sake of argument, or these messages are not these bunch of garrulous fools that they like to hear themselves talk. It's a very serious business, and God is telling us. He says because of their sins, you see, they were drowned, and they were admitted into hell, and did not find any helpers besides God. That was it. Okay, so this is what the message is. The message is trying to save these people. They're running away. They think that somehow they can hide, and if they don't hear it, they're safe. That's how they think. And they have disdain for it for some reason, and it just goes on and on and on, and it's very sad state of affair. But what can you do? And this is what Noah does. Noah is complaining that these guys are not listening. They have rejected me. Yeah.
Well, I pray God that we can hold on, Dr. Fazely, because
Exactly. I mean, it's a very slippery slope. People all of a sudden they just decide that enough is enough. I had enough, and it's. But it is, as I said, it's an extremely crucial, message, and God is saying that if you don't do this, this is what's going to be your. These people are obviously idol worshippers. He said that, and they said that, do not abandon your gods. Do not abandon Wad, Suwa, and Yahud, and Yahoo, and Nasr. Okay, so it just went on and on and on, and they didn't want to abandon it. They just wanted to gravitate towards the same thing that they had before. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely.
Welcome, Salam Jerry. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you for Juma today, Dr. Fazely. Just going off of Ayat 7, where it talks about how they remain arrogant. I was studying this week Surah 20. I was studying Surah 26 this week. 2366 says, surely you receive my signs recited to you, but you turn your backs to them. My signs. And 67 says, you arrogantly treated them as nightly entertainment. You avoided them. So here we are having Quran studies, and we're doing these Jummahs. Some people actually are treating this as nightly entertainment.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
and then we turn our backs, we turn our backs on God's signs, and then you twisted now. You're twisted and confused because you keep turning your back on God's signs. And just wanted to piggyback off for real, but definitely arrogant how we just turn our back on God's signs constantly
Indeed.
and treat it as entertainment. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Dr. Fazely.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. And that's the usual approach. And there's nothing you can do about it. Um, but I mean, he tried. He tried very hard. Also you have to keep in mind that this man, he lived 950 years. Okay, can you imagine that? You see the same people for so long. Okay, and telling them about this thing and telling them what's going to happen, and they're not listening. And so it's getting to the point that he actually invokes a curse upon them, that just annihilate them, God, Lord, annihilate them. And so he's asking God to get rid of these guys. Yep.
And Dr. Fazely, one other thing quickly.
Yep.
And each time we take a step off the path for just a second, if we're going to do something we shouldn't be doing for 1 second or for the last time or one more time or whatever, each time we turn our backs on God's side, each little time. But oh man, each little time is so important for us. Salam.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it is, and it is. The thing is that you have to look at it this way. Every time you do something good, you're going to be rewarded immediately. Okay? People may not see it, but you're rewarded. Okay? And every time you do something bad that God doesn't want you to do, okay, you see the consequences. And the consequences are, little things like, you catch a cold or something, something happens. Okay? And God is saying, look, I don't want you to do this. Do something else. Okay? But a lot of people cannot connect the dots. Today we were in the grocery store. And we were in this line, and this line went to 2 different cashiers. But I didn't know. I thought it was just one line, so I went to the end of the line. And this guy pulls in front of us, and he says something to me, and I said, no, I'm just standing in this line because I thought this was the end of the line. And he says, oh, I'm sorry. Why don't you go ahead? He said, which one do you want to go, 18 or 17? I said, no, I'm going to want to go to 18. So I said, are you sure it's okay? You can go ahead. And he said, no, you go ahead, please. And so he let us go in front of him, and I had my cart was full, and his was full too. And we were standing there, and the guys in front of us were sort of slow. There was something going on, and they were slow. And so all of a sudden, the cashier next door, she opens up, and she says to this guy, why don't you come to this lane? So he pulls into this lane, number 1 in line, okay? And I told my wife, I said, look, he got rewarded for the good deed that he performed today, okay? He let us go first, and for that, he was rewarded immediately. And as a matter of fact, he had a little bit more than we did. Otherwise, he would have been finished even faster than us. Okay, but this is how God does it. Okay? A lot of people don't see it, but that's exactly what He does. And again, the bad things is the same way. Okay, the same way something bad happens. Okay, a lot of people don't think that that animals can see or things like that, but animals can see, okay? And animals know that we are doing our prayers, or we are doing something which is not a godly thing to do. Okay, they know that. You remember the hoopoe? Hoopoe knew that Queen of Sheba was an idol worshiper. Okay, so that's why he came back and he said to Solomon, I know something you do not know. Okay, so animals know that. Okay, sometimes they interfere, and we think that they're just animals. They're not animals. No, this is a collective consciousness. This whole universe is a collective consciousness, and somehow God wants us to save us from those kind of things. Okay, anything else? Any other comments or question, observations?
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely.
Walaikum assalam, Anwar. Yes, go ahead, please.
I just want to make a quick comment on the whole
Yes.
surah. Every time I read the surah, there's a tinge of melancholy of this man sounds so desperate in his genuine effort to move forward and give the message to people, and how unfortunate he was in his particular. I'm sure all messengers go through that kind of situation.
Yeah.
But every time I read Noah, it's so melancholic. It's so sad. It's so sad. And he talks about everything, like and the funny part of it was when there's one place he says that every time I invited them in order that you may forgive them, they placed their fingers in their ears and cloaked themselves under their garments and persistently remained arrogant. I mean, this is incredible. This is incredible. I just want to that, so yeah, and he was a very, very patient man too. That's another character that he had, quality which was very commendable. And it tells us on the whole, like Ferial was mentioning, that the mission of a messenger is no joke. This is wow, it's huge. It's huge, and God bless you, sir, and to carry out what you have to do in your mission.
God bless you too. God bless you too for for your support and for your for participating in this. This is, and as I said, we learn so much. Every week that we come, we learn so much, and we see the connections of these things and how these numbers are speaking to us. And and every time we look at this, we understand more. And all of these are beautiful things that God has bestowed upon us. And as I said, we should be grateful every breath that we take.
Yeah. Today I was reading a verse from chapter 28 where God says, "You did not expect the scripture to come your way."
Exactly.
I saw the scripture a very long time ago, but the way it's coming to me now is just incredibly beautiful, and we are so blessed by that, sir.
Exactly. It is. I mean, it's very humbling, and if you look at it, because this small group of people, we have this information that nobody else has.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. We understand these verses better. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the thing, the case of, as I said, the case of Adam, God says that several places in the Quran, and He says that once I perfect him and blow into him from my spirit.
Yeah.
So that's when He's talking to the angels.
Yeah.
And He said, then you shall honor him.
Yeah.
And it is amazing, but look at the way that the words are actually sawaitahu. That means that this becomes a balanced human being. Okay? And so then God says that the creation of Jesus was just like Adam, in chapter 3. He says, and then He says that, so He says, God says, we blew into her from our spirit. Okay?
Yeah.
And you see all of those strange things that happened to this baby. Okay?
Yes.
This baby is not just like anybody's baby. You see that?
Yes,
that,
true.
Because babies are helpless. Okay?
Yeah.
They come out, they can't do anything, but the baby comes in there, and as before that, as a matter of fact, the baby is telling her not to be saddened. This is what situation is. And He said, somebody asks you today, say, I'm not going to talk to anybody because I have taken a vow of fasting that I'm not going to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And then she brings them over, and then it says, then when they ask, accusing her of being a whore, and so when they ask her, she just points to the baby.
Yeah.
And the baby starts talking. Okay? As I said, grown-ups cannot talk like that. Okay? But that is, God is making it like that, so it's perfect. Okay, so
And incidentally, the baby talks in verse 30, which is the 19th composite. He said, I'm a servant of God.
Yeah, it's actually the 114th thing that was revealed. 114th that was revealed. It's amazing, but as I said, these are the signs that God has given us so we have more understanding of what's going on, you see? Yeah, we have more understanding of who God is and what he does and what he can do, actually.
Subhanallah, God be praised. God be praised.
Yeah.
God be praised.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. As I said today, a lot of people that, they think that, that it stops at addition and subtraction and multiplication and division, okay? They have no respect for God. Absolutely no respect, okay? Then they're going to go and grab some book. I don't know which book they took, which edition of the Quran, and start counting those things. Obviously, they're not going to come up with the same counts that Rashad had. And they didn't, okay? But these are the same people who never believed in God and never believed that God sends messengers and that God inspires his messenger how to do things. So when Rashad countered that, he did it by inspiration. That's why those counts does not match the counts that these guys are doing, you see? And that's what I was trying to say today, that you should think that why is this mathematics actually confirms what Rashad count was. That was the correct count, and this mathematics actually independent of that, a completely different method, okay, confirms that. That's the key that you have to ask yourself before you jump aboard that thing, okay, and talk nonsense. And not only that, you mislead people, which is a very dangerous game playing, okay? This is what Satan does. That's a satanic thing. This is beyond being misled, okay? So it's, and God says that he would not be of any help to these guys. That's what God says in chapter 18.
Yeah.
So I will not be any help to the misleaders.
God is so right when he says this book is easy to read, but the message is heavy.
Yeah, it is.
It's heavy, yeah.
That problem that I said today, that problem is completely unsolvable. You cannot solve that problem at all, okay? You can run all the computers in the world. You cannot find those numbers that I just said. I think, to be honest with you, I think those numbers are unique in mathematics. They are odd and even with those kind of properties that they have. They are unique. There are no other numbers in the entire number system.
Wow.
Okay? That's the amazing part.
Thank you again, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other comments or question observations?
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fazely.
Welcome, Salam Fadil. Yes, go ahead, please.
I want to stray, so if I'm straying, just say so. I'm always wondering who this Wahoo, Nasir, and these people are. But then today, earlier, I was reading in the Bible about Noah, and he was talking about the Nephilims, and we never discussed them. And I don't expect that we do or not, or anybody ever.
These deities that they created themselves, you see.
Mm-hmm.
These were the deities that they had, and they were worshiping these guys. They had 5 of them, okay? A lot of people have 3 of them, Trinity, okay? So, this is what people concoct, and there is no proof for it, as I said. They cannot, generate anything. This is falsehood. This is not the truth. This is falsehood, and people are creating. So these guys were sticking with the with the religion of their parents. He says, will you just follow what our parents did? And so they say, no, don't abandon these guys. These are the good guys. Okay? So, they had 5 of them, 5 entities.
Wow. Okay.
So people have 3, 5, so they go on about their business and they think that somehow they have some kind of power or something. They have nothing, absolutely nothing. Okay, in the case of the time of the Prophet, it was actually 3 of them. Okay, Allah, Manad, and Al-Uzza. So the 3 of them. So they had names. Okay, Allah is supposed to be female Allah. Okay, so that's how the name was gotten for them. Allah.
Okay.
Yep.
And by the time Abraham came, they started even carving them into forms.
Started carving or whatever they do. Okay, anything, you cannot make anything and worship it. Doesn't matter which shape it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that has to be understood. And God says, do not do this. It's very clear in the Quran that do not do this. This is not the way to do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You remember today I was talking about this? I said that 42nd uninitial surah is 71, you see? And so I said about chapter 42, a long time ago I noticed that only the number of ha-mems in chapter 42 is a prime number, which is 353. And 353 is actually the 71st prime number. And so as you see here, 4271, okay? And then number 4271 is the position of that ha-mem in the Quran, actually, from the beginning of the Quran. So if you go to 42, chapter 42, and right here, okay? If you look at this, it says, okay, see that red number there, 42.1, 4271. See that? Yep. Right there on my screen. Ha-mem. So this is God's design, and He's shown us these hints, but now we know so much more about this. Okay, we know so much more about this, which is absolutely, it's really humbling. It should be humbling for all of us that God has bestowed this upon us, that we know this, and other people do not know it, and so it's a huge honor for us, absolute huge honor. Yeah. Any other comments or question, observations?
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum assalam, Mahmoud. Yes, go ahead, please.
God talks about the good examples of the messengers.
Yeah.
We learn from their history and their patience. And a major example that I see in this chapter is the patience Noah had and the perseverance. As you mentioned, 950 years. Let's say he started preaching at 50 years.
Yes, exactly.
That means he was talking to them for 900 years.
Yep.
And, he did not act like Jonah. And he stayed. He was patient, and given that mission that he stayed with it, it's a great example for us.
Yeah.
And a great lesson.
Well, yeah, but you got to also remember this, Mahmoud, that, okay, I'll show you this. This is in, let me just find it. Noah Okay. Noah has been mentioned 44 times. That's interesting, including the name of the chapter. Anyway, let me go ahead to. Okay. See, this is 26:105. Okay. To read chapter, it says that the people of Noah rejected the messengers.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was not the only one, but the punishment came at his time. Okay. So they had enough. They had enough warning and everything. So, and it's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. You know, it's a simple message, but it's a very heavy message, and that's what God says. It's a very heavy message. And chapter actually 42:13, God says that your message is very heavy for those who set up hearts for God, and it is true. They just don't want to change, and it completely somehow uh, ruins the routine they have. Whatever they have that they like to have, it completely destroys that.
Exactly. And the example that we have here, remember that verse, it's not you that they reject. Do not be annoyed or irritated the way
That's
they
right.
act.
Yeah.
It's not you that they reject, it's the most gracious that they reject.
Right. Exactly.
So we have to treat them with benign neglect, as the other verse says that. And 45:14 says, tell the faithful to forgive those who do not seek the days of God, who will fully recompense each community. So, the lesson here, 950 years until he finally gave up and said, God, wipe them all out.
Exactly,
don't leave a single one of them.
Yeah.
But, look at that time that we, I see a lesson that we have to really be patient, kind, inviting, humbling,
tolerant, yeah.
Tolerant.
Yeah, but as I said, it's a serious thing, and the idea is that they just do not take it seriously.
Right.
They think it's just a game or something. As I it's not. It's as we just read it, it says these guys are going to be admitted to hell. Okay, and this is the eternal damnation, and I was just thinking about it today that if you have a life and that life is actually you have excluded God from your life, okay, you don't have a good life. It's not a happy life. It's not a life that you enjoy. And a lot of people do not understand that because you have an attribute of God inside you that God has given you out of infinite love and generosity, which is life. Okay? Because He's the living. Okay? So He's given you this attribute, which is come to God. And that's why we have to do the contact prayer. So we'll be in contact with Him. So our life would be a life of satisfaction. It would be a life of peace and tranquility. So it's something that we all have to remember that this life is actually nourished by the living God. And if you're not in touch with Him, the life is withers and it's not interesting. It's something that's really, a source of grief and unhappiness.
And that verse you mentioned in 26, the Bible of Noah rejected the messengers, plural.
Yes.
Even though we know there was only one messenger that they rejected, but they rejected everyone that God sent to mankind. So you can reject one messenger, and you reject it all.
Yeah.
And you can
But
fall
also,
and idolize one, and you
yeah.
reject the Lord.
But yeah, the idea is that God says He mentioned somebody He didn't mention. He
Oh,
didn't
yes.
mention. Okay? So we don't know who they are. Okay, these are the people who were sincere. You know, if you look at the case of, for example, the case of Moses and Aaron, when they went there, the believing Egyptian was there. The believing had no problem with this entire thing. Okay, see, he was already guided. He actually started preaching to these people. He started preaching to Pharaoh. Okay, and he has no excuse. Remember that those people, they say, well, our leaders were tyrants and we had no choice and stuff like that. Wasn't my land spacious? Couldn't you go someplace else and worship me alone? Okay? So these excuses are not going to be there. The man was right there. Even more a vivid case is the case of his wife. You know, I mean, Pharaoh's wife was there. Can you imagine that? So what kind of excuse can people make? Oh, we can't do it because of this and this. No, that's not the situation. Your heart is in touch with the faith. The faith is in your heart. It's not worn on the sleeve or to show off in front of somebody or, you know, to do all kinds of other things. This is something, it's a personal thing between that person and God, and that believing Egyptian had that. So did Pharaoh's wife. Okay.
Sure.
Yep.
God bless you.
God bless you too. Any other comments or question observations? Now this one I'm just pulling for the on regular primes that we were discussing for the past weeks, and okay, and there it is. Make it big so you all can see it. So it is blue. So it says 350, 340, 253. I mean, in that is okay. Those two numbers. One of them is, as we discussed today, is the exponent of the 19th Gaussian Mersenne prime. 4253 is the exponent of the Mersenne prime. Okay, can you imagine that? Line up here in the regular primes. I mean, what else can God show to people? It's amazing. Absolutely boggles the mind. And the thing is that I didn't do this. I did not generate this table. This table is already there. And everybody can go ahead and do this. And then you can look at the shot count, and he came up with 353. But he didn't know that this relation is it. Okay? Isn't that amazing? The other thing is, how did he know that he's supposed to count the number of ha and mim in the opening statement, which has no number. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in chapter 42, the ha mims in that belong to that statement do not have a verse number. How did he know to count those two? Think about it a little bit. Okay, all those people who start, they should think about it. How did he know how to do that? Okay. Unless God told them this is the way you do it. Okay?
Salam, Dr. Fazely.
Welcome, Salam Shakira. Yeah, I thought we were not here tonight.
Please finish what you were saying.
Oh, I'm just saying that. I'm just trying to say, okay, that people who are looking at this, these questions should come up, okay? These questions should come up and say, how did he know to do this? But, somebody knew how to do it. And as I said, those people who started the recount, okay, and talk about all kinds of nonsense in there, those guys should think about this. And say even the case of Ham, which has no Aleph or Hamza or whatever, okay? And so even in that case, why would he count the Hamims in the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim?
Yes, that's true.
So that's the type of things that we owe to ourselves. And for those people, these questions will be asked of them on the Day of Judgment. Okay? So that's the warning that goes along with it. That they did not use the brain. Remember chapter 17 verse 36 says, I have given you the eyesight and the hearing and the brain, and you are responsible for using them. Okay? They're not using them. They're not using intelligence.
What I wanted to say was,
Yeah, go ahead.
For us to do all this, understand all this ultimate mathematics, God has shown us all these primes. He's giving us the knowledge of this, maybe we know about 15 different primes, like regular prime and Gaussian Mersenne prime. But the reality is that God has taught us all those things without us knowing the actual formula that He has designed that creates all of this mathematics. But He's given us all the details.
Shakira, hang on a second. There is no formula for this.
No.
This
I'm telling you, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you that 353 and 4253 has no equational relation.
Yes.
That's the key.
Yes. I'm actually talking. I'm not talking about just that. I'm just telling that for us to understand the ultimate mathematics with such detail, He has given us the ability to know all different kinds of primes which we never knew, and there might be many more to come, so that we can actually understand the mathematics without knowing exactly how it's done.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know how it's done. That's the key, okay? The key is that it's something that only God alone knows.
Yes.
And as I said, He has designed the universe based on this, okay?
Yes.
This is creation, okay?
Yes.
This thing here, this thing that I made in blue, this actually generates the Quran.
Yes.
Okay? That's the amazing part about this. That these two numbers, they generate the Quran. In chapter 52, it tells you that 42 is supposed to have 53 verses, and the number of Hamim is supposed to be 353. And then it goes back to the 19, and I told you why it's 19, okay? Because 353 is the exponent of the 19th Gaussian Mersenne prime, and 4253 is the exponent of the 19th Mersenne prime. So that's how it's
Yes.
related to 9. And then it comes here and lines up. Okay?
Yes.
So there would no doubt whatsoever.
Yes. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments or question, observations? Okay, if there are no more, then we'll stop tonight. Okay, and inshallah we'll hear from you next year then. So let's see. We have 2 requests for Al-Fatihah, so we're going to do 4 of them tonight. Okay. All right.